Andy's cell tower moves forward. Mark project holds summit on area renewal. Downsville man pleads guilty in crash that kills firefighter. These are some of the headlines this week. Welcome to CatskillsAir. I'm Jessica Murphy, here with your latest local news. Joining me now is Matt Avitable, editor and publisher of the Mountain Eagle and Catskills Chronicle. Let's get right to the news. A Downsville man pled guilty last week to driving while intoxicated and second-degree vehicular manslaughter. The charges stem from a crash where a responding firefighter was electrocuted. In July 2025, Joseph Bellows Jr. of Downsville crashed into an electric pole on State Route 30 in the village of Hancock. The pole snapped and live wires on the road trapped him inside the vehicle. One responding emergency worker, volunteer firefighter Jason T. McGlone, was killed in the line of duty when he was electrocuted by a live wire. Bellows admitted under oath that he was driving while intoxicated. His sentencing is scheduled for mid-September. Bellows faces 28 months to 7 years in state prison. A proposed cell tower could be coming to Andy's. That, along with some other business, was discussed at last week's Andy's Town Council. Matt, brief us on these developments.
There's quite a bit that happened in Andy's. The hamlet and town there is receiving a number of updates, including that about the cell project. This is a follow-up on something that we've discussed before. A delay has been ended there as the town council passed a motion to amend what was considered an outdated version of a 2001 law at their July 14th meeting. Our own Lee Infield wrote our lead story for this week's Catskills Chronicle. The original law regulated the development of communications towers and facilities, and with that, according to Town Supervisor Richie Gabriel, he called it outdated technology that influenced the original law and that needed to be revised. Now, this project will proceed.
There's been a lot of talk and money about improving local communities lately. Now, the Mark Project plans a 2-day 2026 Main Street Summit to discuss preservation, innovation, and revitalization.
This one ties together two of our major stories in the last several months. This is going to affect both Roxbury and Margaretville, as the Mark Project has done excellent work to receive these funds, and now they're announcing this summit. It's going to be called Where Historic Preservation Meets Sustainable Innovation over the course of 2 days. It's going to start on Tuesday, September 15th at the Roxbury Art Center. They're going to have a number of topics, including the economic impact of small Main Street buildings, placemaking community identity, historic preservation, sustainability, and more. Registration has been funded by the State Office of Homes and Community Renewal, as well as the O'Connor Foundation and the Birdsall Project.
Now that Radio Catskill and WIOX have merged, they're getting a matching grant to boost coverage.
The O'Connor Foundation is coming through again, offering $5,000 towards funding 2 new part-time positions that will help support the organization's merger. This one should help both WJFF and WIOX as they merge into one radio station. There are a couple of help wanteds on the cover of the paper this week, as they're looking for both a development associate and a part-time reporter. So anyone who'd like to pick up a news job and play a role in local media, this is your chance.
Even nonstop rain couldn't dampen the spirits in Stamford for the annual St. Jude's fundraiser. Matt, there may have been fewer motorcycle riders on hand this time, but they still managed to raise a tidy sum, right?
Absolutely. This was the rain before the major rain. And unfortunately, it did harm the turnout a little bit, but ultimately not the spirit. A lot of people still turned out, and Johns did their annual ride. This wound up raising $7,500 towards St. Jude's Children's Hospital to help those with serious illness. Despite the fact that there wound up being fewer motorcycles than last year due to the rain, we still wound up with this very good result.
Well, Delaware County District Attorney Sean Smith and his team were busy in the courts last week. Town of Harpersfield Court convicted 3 local men.
District Attorney Smith has been busy, and his team has been doing good work. We wound up seeing these 3 cases. The first one was Richard Coogan, age 67, who pleaded guilty to driving while intoxicated and aggravated unlicensed operation in the 3rd degree. These are both unclassified misdemeanors. This happened July 21st at that town of Harpersfield Court. This stems from a March 6th incident in which a sheriff's deputies was dispatched to the scene of a one-car motor vehicle accident, and the defendant had been traveling northerly and drove through the intersection, struck a utility pole, causing the pole to snap. Telephone wires fell in the roadway and on the truck, and ultimately, the driver, Richard Coogan, has now pleaded guilty to these two charges. Second case is Bradley Grant, age 35, of Stamford. He pleaded guilty as charged to criminal contempt in the second degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor, on July 20th. This stems from an April call in which there was a potential domestic dispute. A state trooper arrived at the location, interviewed the victim, and it was determined that Coogan, the victim's boyfriend, had taken away her cell phone the day before to prevent her from contacting her family. He had also become physical with her when she tried to get the cell phone back, and after research, the trooper found that there was a current order of protection for the victim, and the boyfriend was in violation of the order. And the last one was a conviction and sentence in the criminal possession and stolen property case. Thomas Davis, aged 72, pleaded guilty to one count of criminal possession of stolen property in the fifth degree, which is a Class A misdemeanor. This stems from an incident last August. State police had received a report of stolen property, more specifically tools, at a residence on Wood Road in Jefferson. A tip had been received identifying Davis as a person who stopped the residence the day before the property was found, and when interviewed, Davis made admissions to concealing the stolen property in a porta potty on Wood Road and admitted transporting the stolen tools to that location.
A Margaretville man pled guilty last week to a DWI that happened in December. Police spotted Lyndon A. Ranikovic stopped for an unusually long time at the intersection of State Highway 30 and County Road 38. When he started moving forward, he crossed over the yellow middle line as well as went over the white fog line several times. He was not wearing a seatbelt and his vehicle reeked of alcohol. Several empty and partially filled bottles were scattered inside. Ranikovic was sentenced to 1 year conditional discharge and the maximum fine. His license was revoked for 6 months and he has to take drug and alcohol tests. If he fails, he could be sentenced to a year in jail. A seriously injured young man from Windsor, New York, faces multiple charges after crashing his car in the village of Walton. Matt?
21-year-old Elijah O'Neill of Windsor, New York, had to be transported out by LifeNet to Upstate Medical Facility after this crash. The injuries were severe, and deputies determined that O'Neill had been under the influence of alcohol and drugs. On July 22nd, he was arrested and charged with criminal possession of stolen property, Class D felony, unauthorized use of a motor vehicle in the third degree, and criminal mischief in the fourth degree. O'Neill was processed and turned over to the Delaware County Correctional Facility to await centralized arraignment on these allegations.
A 45-year-old Walton woman was picked up on a warrant for charges stemming from a DWAI arrest in September 2025. She's being held at Delaware County Correctional Facility pending arraignment.
Melissa Knorr was charged originally with driving while ability impaired on September 12th, and on June 15th she failed to appear as required at the Village of Walton Court, and on July 1st she turned herself in to the sheriff's office on a bench warrant.
Following an investigation, sheriff's deputies arrested a Middletown man in a domestic event involving unwanted physical contact.
This stems from a July 1st incident in which deputies responded to reports of a domestic incident. With that, it's alleged that 33-year-old Timothy Reich of Middletown subjected another person to unwanted physical contact. Deputies submitted requests for a criminal summons and an order of protection to the Middletown Town Court, and on July 15th, sheriff's deputies had been granted both arrests, located, arrested, and charged him with harassment in the second degree, which is a violation of the New York State penal law, and issued an order of protection.
A Courtright man was arrested after police received a complaint about his broken-down car.
This comes from a July 8th incident in which sheriff's deputies were dispatched to County Highway 18, right outside of the hamlet of Courtright, for a report of a disabled vehicle with a male laying in the roadway drinking alcohol. Upon arriving at the scene, deputies located the male, and upon completing their investigation, they alleged that the male subject had been intoxicated and had a revoked driver's license stemming from 2 previous DWI convictions. They arrested Frank Darmody, age 46, of Courtright, for allegedly aggravated driving while intoxicated with a BAC of .18 or more. We also saw a number of other charges. These are all felonies under the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law, and he was issued a traffic summons for several other significant allegations and was released on appearance tickets and will appear in the town of Stamford Court at a later date.
Well, in other news, Deposit earned national bragging rights last week. Matt, why was 4-H Camp Shankatunk honored? And also fill us in on some of the other business handled by the Delco Board of Supervisors last week.
We've talked about Camp Shankatunk in the past. They do a lot of good work for children, and ultimately it's one of the oldest continuously operating 4-H camps in the state, and it serves children between the age of 8 and 16 through Cornell Cooperative Extension. This isn't the first time that it's been recognized. In 2023 and 2024, Newsweek magazine named the facility as one of the best summer camps and holds accreditation from the American Camp Association. They did wind up with some other business, who wound up seeing several supervisors absent. Public Defender's Office received $100,000 for costs related to discovery. Department of Mental Health received almost $25,000 in order to meet the cost of inflationary increases. A resolution allocating state aid to assisted outpatient treatment was tabled due to incorrect budget numbers. Supervisors amended the county attorney's software and legal expense budget lines, and about $32,000 was transferred to pay for inpatient care for inmates deemed incapacitated to meaningfully participate in criminal defense proceedings.
Reporter Lorcan Otway gets our attention again. This time he's out covering bees, or a lack of them.
Bees have been a hot topic in recent years, especially as there has been more concern that there just aren't enough of them. He starts the conversation about a province in China that's having trouble because there are very few bees due to pesticides. There's now a discussion among the Catskill Mountain Beekeepers Club about the bees, what's happened to them, and the effects of pesticides. He did a really good job here as he talked about the bee club, about keeping bees, about the 130 members of this club, and about many of their actions. If you'd like to learn more about being an apiary, about raising bees, about their behavior, about honey, and about how to preserve them, Lorcan did a great job in this week's paper.
There's also an interesting article this week on the disappearance of Delaware County dairy farms.
John Halpern wrote this one up as part of his Why Art column. And interestingly enough, this is also a topic we've talked about before. If you want to find out more, the recently produced documentary Dairyland goes in more detail about this. He wrote about it and included a QR code that you can use to find out more.
CatskillsAir is broadcasting a film made a few years ago by Andes Central School students on Delco farm families. It's really worth a watch, and you can check our guide in the paper for air times. Reporter Liz Page attended the annual barbecued beef dinner at the Colonel Harper Grange last week. There, she discovered some long-held secrets of a super secret sauce.
This one's really neat because this ties together several of my favorite topics, including food. She wound up finding about what she calls the secret sauce and the beef at the Grange barbecue. The Colonel Harper Grange does a lot of good for Harpersfield and the area. Perhaps the most tasty of all the things that they do is this wonderful barbecue. There's this wonderful picture of beef turning over at the Grange. She finds out more about the history of this barbecue, what makes it so good, what's changed, and what hasn't changed on the cover of this week's paper.
The community turned out to honor one of its own. A famed concert pianist retires. Matt, tell us about Justin Kolb's rewirement.
This is one of my favorite local people. Justin's always been kind, and as kind as he is, he's just as talented. Lorcan Otway wrote this one up, and while he is retiring, Lorcan did a play on words and said that he's also rewiring. The community turned out to honor these many years of service that Justin has provided through his music and his community spirit. It's actually quite a long article talking about those who know him, talking about many of the things that he's done, and Justin has really earned his retirement, and he's really working on this rewirement.
For 10 years now, the Stamford Fire Department has been holding its annual yard sale. More than 50 households will participate this coming Saturday, August 8th. Maps of all locations will be handed out at the firehouse beginning at 8 a.m. So if you need something or just want to get out and take a look around, check this huge village-wide thrift shopping extravaganza. For more on these and other articles, pick up the Mountain Eagle or Catskills Chronicle. But Matt, before we let you go, what's up for next week?
It's going to be August, believe it or not. Summer is now entering into one of its last months, and with the new month, we're going to have new meetings. We're going to have a whole number of town, village, and school meetings in our coming editions. We're also looking for an update from the county as they're going to be holding their coming meeting as they talk about grant costs and a number of changes happening at the county. Last but not least, we have a number of summer events that are going to round out what's been a really good, kind of hot, kind of rainy in the last several days, summer, and all the enjoyment that the Catskills has to offer.
Well, thanks for keeping us all up to date, and we will see you next week. And now it's time to talk sports. Here's John with the details.
One of the two local baseball options closed shop last week when the Oneonta Outlaws fell to Amsterdam 5-2 in the opening round of the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League playoffs. Oneonta finished the season in fourth place in the league with a 16-win, 21-loss record with one tie. Braden McNamee, who placed in the top 5 pitchers in the league with a 3.88 earned run average, turned in a sterling performance in relief, pitching 6.1 innings and allowing only 1 run for the Outlaws. In limited time with the Outlaws, Chaz Wright, who plays college ball at St. John's, and Oneonta High graduate Nolan Stark were Outlaw hitting stars. Wright hit .321 in 38 at-bats over 13 games. Stark, this spring's Oneonta Daily Star Player of the Year, played in 21 games for the Outlaws, batting 78 times and hitting .372. The local baseball standout won Player of the Game honors 2 times during the 2026 Outlaw season. Stark will be taking his baseball game to the University of North Carolina in Wilmington in August. There's an old adage that goes like this: you never get a second chance to make a first impression. With that in mind, you'd have to say that Mitch Voigt likely turned some heads playing in his first game for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies last week. A first-round draft pick in the 2024 baseball draft, Voigt was elevated to Binghamton last week from the High A Brooklyn Cyclones. In his first Double-A at-bat against the Reading Fighting Phils, Voigt blasted a double off the center field wall, the first of 3 extra base hits during his Double-A baseball debut. Voigt, who played his college ball at the University of Michigan, laced 3 extra base hits in the contest, won a triple. That's our local sports report for this week.
Thanks, Sean. Boxing legend Mike Tyson is coming home. Tyson is attending the Legends of the Ring autograph show Saturday, August 22nd in Catskill. Tyson, who trained with famed coach Cus D'Amato at his Catskill gym, will be at the event all day. For more on Tyson's boxing history and the event, read the article in this week's Wyndham Weekly section of the Mountain Eagle. If you're craving a moment of relaxation and history, stop by the Middletown History Center to walk through local lore, reflect on the picturesque pond, or even share a picnic. The museum is open the first Saturday of every month. Now, let's see what Elizabeth has in arts and entertainment.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Focus on the Arts News Spot. I hope you're having a wonderful day in this summer of our Catskills 2026. Gilboa Historical Museum has just finished a wonderful, successful show, Art, 1,000 Words, art with a narrative, a story. Successful as always. Gilboa Museum has workshops, talks, and shows with all kinds of wonderful, interesting things. So we need to help support Gilboa Museum. Now they're going to be having a new exhibit called Birds, Bugs, and Blooms. This will be fabulous. It runs August 1st to August 30th. This will be a wonderful event, a wonderful art show to really see the amazing, talented creatives that we have just in our midst. So you definitely want to come out to Gilboa Historical Museum in Gilboa. Also, August 23rd, they're going to be running a tour of the Cairo Quarry with Dr. Chuck Verstraeten. Space is limited. You need to reserve a spot. A wonderful place of inspiration for anybody who's a creative. Next, Arville Stage Creation in Rensselaerville. Still an open call. Running auditions for The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. It's August 17th. You can do it in person or by video. You need to go online to rensselaerville.org and check out all the specs for this open call and get your name in. See if it's something you want to try for the first time, or if you've already done this kind of amazing performance, go and see what you can do in The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Next, Franklin Stage Company, the wonderful Great Chapel Hall, incredible, beautiful building, and that alone is enough to get you out there. The Civilities, a world premiere event written by Kyle Bass. Gilbert McCauley is the director. A world premiere runs August 7th to August 23rd, runs Thursday to Sunday with matinees and evening show. A story rich in the discovery of the self and the world around us, elusive mystery and drama, all the wonderful things that draw us in as humans. Good luck to Kyle Bass and Gilbert McCauley. Let's get out there to Franklin Stage Company in Franklin and help support. Go online for more information. And thank you so much for watching Focus on the Arts. Keep checking in. Keep being creative. Let's be kind. It's really easy. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, Elizabeth. The Messenger of Love is coming to Pine Hill Community Center with his blend of blues, soul, R&B, and even a little rock and roll. Check out Slam Allen with his soulful voice, rhythmic guitar, and mountains of energy. A must-see show for all music fans. Mark your calendar. Franklin is happening. Celebrate this quaint village all day, beginning with free pancakes at the Community Bible Church. Yum. More than 50 vendors, a couple of rockin' bands, and even a vintage baseball game. Plus, try to dunk a few area notables, including Sheriff Craig Dumont, State Senator Peter Oberacker, Assemblyman Chris Togg, among many others. Now that sounds fun. What a week of rain and wind and wacky weather we've had. Margaretville took a hit once again. The bridge over Fair Street is closed. Rushing stream water crested the roadway and caused some damage. Over in the village's Binnock Hill Park, the fast-moving stream is at Land's Edge, but those little ducks seem to love it. Let's see what's in the air for next week.
Heidi-ho, friends and neighbors, it's Lori with CatskillsAir, bringing you the first week in August weather update for the beautiful, pristine, still highly wacky and unpredictable weather Catskill Mountain region. And it looks like the week ahead is going to be a rather stormy one. We have lots of storms rolling into the area with the not needed rainfall coming on Monday. And it looks like we're going to continue with those storms throughout the week ahead. It won't be a complete washout, but it'll be more clouds than sun, more rain than cloud. So let's give it a go and kick off what's happening for our first work week for the month of August. On Monday, we can expect a wet and soggy day with showers and isolated thunderstorm showers could be heavy at times. Temps are going to top out in the mid-70s with winds out of the south-southwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we're going to clear out for the evening with temperatures dipping back to the upper 50s, winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10. On Tuesday, we are going to get a sunny day with a mix of clouds and sun. Temperatures climbing to the low 80s, upper 70s in some areas of the Cats, winds light and variable. Overnight, we have partly cloudy skies with temps dipping back to the low 60s, winds light and variable. On Wednesday, we have cloudy skies with a chance of occasional isolated showers and thunderstorms. Temps are going to top out in the mid-70s, winds out of the south at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have overcast skies with the chance of isolated showers and thunderstorms. Temps are going to dip back to the upper 60s, with winds out of the south-southwest at 5 to 10. On Thursday, we have more rinse and repeat with rain, showers, and thunderstorms in the afternoon with cloudy skies in the morning with a chance of showers. Temps are going to top out near 80, winds out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have showers early, clearing after midnight with temps dipping back to the mid-60s, winds light and variable. And on Friday, we have a mix of sun and clouds early with scattered showers and thunderstorms, isolated scattered showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. Temps are going to be in the low 80s, winds out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10. And overnight, we have variable cloudiness in the evening hours with scattered isolated showers and thunderstorms after midnight. Temps are going to dip back to the mid-60s with winds light and variable. As I bid you farewell, remember that weather and temperature changes on a dime, especially in the beautiful Cats. Be sure to join me for your weekend weather update, because is it going to rain, shine, warm, cold? Only Mother Nature knows. And I got a clue, so see you then from somewhere in the cat.
That's it for CatskillsAir News. If you see something out there, let us know. I'm Jessica Murphy, and as we wrap, let's look at some of the fun photos of the 72nd Annual Greene County Youth Fair. Bye for now.